What's up, guys? Welcome back to the That's So Dev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on all social media platforms at That's So Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube. We got a bopping over there. Now, look, when you are creating music, and most likely this probably goes for every artist who is starting out, the question is, what kind of music do you want to make? And, you know, I've had to sit on that for a good maybe 3 years, to be honest, because I didn't start really constructing songs. I've written songs probably my entire life, but fully constructing them into actual songs, it's been about 5 years or so. But you know, with that, I feel like there's been a lot of progression in how I approach the songs because I felt like I kind of already put myself into a box, which sucked because I liked a lot of different sounds. But there's this expectation, especially when it comes to black people. And for example, there's this girl on Instagram called Flower of Love, Flower OV Love, and she just makes the best kind of music. And I feel like it's something that most people wouldn't assume that a black person would make, right? Because she always has this quote on her video. She's like, "Oh, she's black. She probably makes R&B music." And it's just so tea because that's the natural kind of perspective that people have for a black person who's going to make music. You're going to rap or you're going to make R&B music. And I was just kind of like interesting because I have a tone and a voice that really fits the R&B narrative. And so I stayed there. I stayed there for a good 2 to 3 years. There's one pop song that I did, and it really didn't fit my voice, but I held on to the song for like 2 years because I was so convinced that it would become something. And I don't know, girl, it aged. It really did. But like it was one of those songs where the purpose of it wasn't for it to become an actual song. It was one of those songs that really led you to like I learned a lot from that song to be able to approach another song, and then it just was a completely different experience. By the way, sip on your water. Mm-mm. Because hydrate, girl. It's hot out there. Tea. But finding your sound is just such an interesting thing. I grew up hearing that all of the time. I mean, there's a general, expectation that an artist has to have a sound that people can associate with them. When you think about an artist and you name them, you associate them with the sound. Maybe they do multiple, maybe they don't. I don't know. But they are associated with a specific sound. T. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure for somebody to kind of figure out what kind of music they want to make. But a bitch had a light bulb moment. I really did. And it was really the moment that I just started to be like, what do you want to say? That was the biggest question. Like it seems so simple, but asking myself that question, it was like, "Oh wow." Because I was obviously making music that I felt like was inspired by the things that I had went through and were experiencing, but I wasn't articulating that very well. And it was a moment where I was kind of like, "Oh, maybe I need to approach this differently." And I honestly took it to therapy because it was almost like you feel a lot of emotions, but you're not entirely connected to them. So there was a lot of work there. And I feel like I really had gotten to a point, I had to go out of my way to really learn how to get the point across without word vomit. And that's when I started making a lot of songs where they were making sense, but okay, this song is really speaking about some real shit and there's some anger behind it, and this feels like a rock song. It fits the rock beat, but it's not R&B. Interesting. So honestly, I made it into a demo. I did. I was like, you wanna know what? I'm going to entertain this shit, and I brought it to life, and it proved to me that I could probably make anything that simply just makes sense. And a lot of R&B in it making sense was because of those perspectives and how people would view it, right? So I kind of just drowned out all the noise, to be honest. And I think that allowed me to make whatever. If it was rock, sure, why not? But it was interesting because it also led to a moment where I kind of had this like Afrobeat awakening. Like I never thought about it a day in my life, but the Afrobeat range is so my tea. And it can go in an R&B way or it can go in a pop way. Like it can go whichever way, to be honest. And I don't think that I would have discovered that lane. Like if I had to pick a sound, it would be in the Afrobeat range. So all of that experimenting and stepping outside of the box, it actually kind of led to something that I feel like is my sound. Well, it's just natural to me. It feels good. It's fun. It fits my voice. It fits the vibe. It's authentic. So I obviously personally encourage anyone who is creating music to step out of the box. I remember hearing, and it's funny because Miley Cyrus said in an interview one time that she doesn't make the music that she listens to. And part of my brain at the time, like there was almost like a disconnect that happened when I heard that because it was almost me kind of accepting the reality that maybe people don't make the music that they listen to or music that they entirely resonate with or that they don't write because I assumed that everybody wrote their music back when I was young. And it was a rude awakening when I found out that they didn't. So I just kind of grew up on those kind of ideals. Like I was like, okay, I absolutely have to write music. I do because I couldn't imagine. And it's not that you can't sing someone else's songs and collaborate with them to create a song that is all of yours. That's definitely possible. So, a lot of what I like to do is, I really kind of create things from the ground up and, getting maybe sometimes a beat from a specific producer. And I build a foundation to that and then I collaborate to really bring the song to life because I have no pride here when it comes to making music. Like, yes, and your help, credits. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, everybody really kind of wins here. So it's been a positive approach to the music. And with the collaborative process, I also think that it has also helped get to that sound. Mm. More water, girl. Tea. Tea. I promise you need it. But again, the collaborative process just kind of allowed for me to also step out of the range and, you know, have the courage to throw something out there comfortably with everybody and say, hey, how does this sound? You know what I mean? And I think that really, again, helped flip the narrative because then I began to try more things and we kind of built a safe space with that. And I feel like that really made things what they were and it began to make the songs better. So, finding your sound is super complex. There's a lot of things to it. There's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of trying different things. There are going to be some songs that don't sound good. Trust. There are going to be some songs that you don't sound good on because when you hear a song in your head versus how it comes out, it's not the same. I've had a lot of songs where I've heard them in my head and I go to make the song and it's not a song that I can sing. Or it's not a song that comes out the way that I expected. And sometimes that is also a good thing because I've had plenty of songs where I'm like, oh, this is not what I heard, but it's also something different that is intriguing to me and worth the investment because I still took the chance to bring it to life. So now, anytime that I hear a song in my head, I feel like I have no choice but to go in, even if I create a partial demo, I'll go and do that because I need to hear the song in order for me to see if this actually fits. So I used to just pick R&B beats. Now I pick whatever beat that is it just makes sense or feels good to me. If I hear the beat sounds fire. Great. Do the lyrics come before the beat sometimes? Yes, sometimes. But I do like to have the beat to make something too. But usually it's a selection that I'm given that I pick from. And those beats are usually beats that I feel maybe now, but I might potentially feel later. So I may save those for later and come back to them or whatever the case may be. But it's just a really complex thing with music. I'm like, girl, if y'all would have told me that all of this had to be done, I'd have been like, bye. Oh no. Yeah, people voluntarily doing this, girl? No. Like, I see why people have a full machine behind them to make music. You have to. You don't have to. But, like, girl, this is the ghetto. It's not for the weak. It's really not. It's really, really not. And I got so ambitious. And I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to drop 2 EPs. And the idea for me was 2 EPs before I do an album. And I was like, you want to know what? An album definitely feels like 3 or so years after I put out 2 EPs. But I didn't expect 2 EPs in 1 year. 2 EPs went about 4 songs max. So I planned one, the first one, you know, because originally I had an album planned. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. I wanted to introduce myself into the music. I'm not really aiming to be some star or something. I'm really just having fun and doing what I was actually born to do. So I have the EP planned and, I have the EP set with songs, but I just keep making songs and the songs are getting better and better and better. And, the whole idea of the first project to me, even though it has a concept, the songs are all my firsts, like the first batches of songs that I really made that made sense, that felt comfortable. And I wanted those to be out into the world, period. And they just so happen to fit a narrative and a story. So I made it into one. But again, all of the extra songs. And again, finding your sound. It's interesting. It's funny because I feel like the 4 songs in the first EP, they're all different genres to me. If maybe you could say maybe 2 would sound kind of similar. But at minimum, 3 different genres on a 4-track EP. And that was not intentional. It just naturally happened. And again, the EP sonically makes sense. It's called Departed, obviously. That's not a secret, but it has this kind of, you know, you're in the house, the curtains shut, the kind of brown, darkish colors on these curtains. The sun is shining through. It's surfing depression in your PJs with on the couch with the blanket, and like it's just it has this narrative of emotion, of sadness, and each song feels like it's processing a different emotion from departing a friendship, relationship, or whatever that was once central to your life. And genuinely, I didn't plan that. It just kind of happened, and the narrative all kind of just came together but it's real as fuck and it's true and it's an actual true story about shit that actually happened to me. I just found a way to actually articulate it. So that was planned. And, I had really done more emotional and feelings and mid tempo to slower songs in the first EP. That was intentional because I felt like I needed to get all of the emotion out. And I wasn't really getting all of that emotion out when I was doing the R&B songs and all that. And that was mainly because I was forcing it. It wasn't naturally just coming out or anything. So, yeah, the real light butt moment, what do you want to say? And when I began to ask what I wanted to say, that's when the narrative started to write themselves. Oh, this is rock. Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be some Afrobeat tea. Girl, that sounds like a country song. Whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It's just however it comes out, however it sounds in my head. Love that. I do. My voice is cracking up. I am recovering from a sickness, okay? YouTube subscribers do not drag me, okay? Your boy is in his rest era. The videos are making their way back slowly but surely, but I'm definitely in my rest era. I'm also working really hard to create this music because I have a deadline for it to be in before the holidays. So, as I was saying, we have departed and, the emotional taken perspective of that. But then we also transition into another EP, which I have coming out probably about 6 to 8 months after the first one. And that is also intentional. I really just want to get the songs out, but I don't want to put them all out at the same time. And although they're not going to make an album, I think that both of them are kind of acts, and I hate to say that because it sounds kind of cringe, but they are kind of acts. It's kind of like an act one and act two of kind of like this whole project because Freefall Summer, which is the name of the second EP, that's also not a secret. So there's Departed and there's Freefall Summer. And Freefall Summer is hold on, because I have the perfect explanation of it and I wrote it down too because I love the whole perspective of Free Fall Summer and how it approaches confidence, sexiness, fun, but also it tackles emotion at the same time. And that wasn't planned because I wanted to make something that was just more fun and more upbeat because I do love the fun and the upbeat and the pop. And, I didn't really do that approach on Departed. It's a completely different tonage on that EP. It's a completely different aesthetic. It's a much darker aesthetic, but Free Fall Summer has a lot of hope. It has new love after departing from this friendship, relationship, whatever, right? Departed is really processing those emotions after, but Free Fall Summer is really the moving on of it. And again, all of this is my actual real life that's put into these songs. And again, instead of word vomit like a full journal, it's really just, and I hate to say the word shrank because I didn't take anything away from it. I just found a way to say it better with less words. So, um, here it is, Free Fall Summer. It captures the feeling of diving headfirst into love and life during the summer months. It's about the exhilarating rush of falling for someone, the confidence you find in yourself, but also the vulnerability and sadness that can come with intense emotions. It's like that carefree summer vibe mixed with the raw, unfiltered feelings that make us human. I'm trying to read this from a archived Snapchat story that I posted on my private story. Girl, that shit clicked away from me. I said, no, I'm in the middle of reading, child. I promise you I can read. I am not Leah Michelle. But like, let's be serious, okay? Free Fall Summer is a natural vibe and a natural sound that just kind of came from me. And there's one song in particular that is on the first EP. Everybody loves that song. So it's clear to me that definitely is the song on that EP for sure. Like, that I feel like when everybody hears, they're going to feel it. And it's really inspired the direction for Free Fall Summer. And I feel like instantly, once you transition from Departed into Free Fall Summer, it instantly connects to you. Ah, this makes sense. This is a person who experienced a loss and had to deal with that, pick themselves back up, and still put themselves back out there, even though they know that there's a potential for that again. And I feel like it's also a testament to character, too, in the person's perspective. Obviously, this is me. I am said person, bitch. But it's just it's so interesting to see how a project can come together like this, because I didn't plan Departed. I didn't plan Free Fall Summer, but they just happened. And now I have to release them. I absolutely have to. I have to get these out of here. And I listen to both of them right now on a repeat, because the track list right now, they are set. If something new and better comes along the way of getting these done and finalized, then there's room for those to potentially be added or things to be switched out. But for right now, we do have them set, and the transition into songs sonically, they make sense. And I even listened to it where, we had Depart at first, and Free Fall Summer came in right after. I kind of put them in one little old album just to see how that would work. And it was wonderful. And obviously, when I do, I'm officially going to like put them on iTunes, where both of them are conjoined together on one project. It's not gonna be an album. I'm sure it'll probably be tagged that way, but it won't be. And I don't want to get misconstrued, because no, baby, that is not a debut album. Okay, these are just my first couple of songs that I really decided that, I wanted to make and share with the world. But when an album does come out, like, those songs are going to be, I feel like the approach for those songs are going to be something serious, because the journey to finding your sound really opens up many doors to avenues that you now realize you can take. I feel like after creating these two EPs, going and creating an album shows me that there's endless opportunities and potential for what I can create. And that's why I also think it's super important for people to take their time and also make music, because I remember 5 years ago, even like just before the pandemic, when I had moved out to Vegas, yeah, I was speaking with my friends and people that I've been working with in regards to getting music out and all of that stuff. They're like, where's the music? You know what I mean? Like, you say it's on the way. Like, girl, where it at? Valid question. Okay, because T. But the reality of it is that I knew the music wasn't ready. I knew that I wasn't ready. I knew that I wasn't entirely comfortable in the music. And I kept saying that also. Like, the music, it had just been getting better and better and better, but I had to figure out my own groove. I had to figure out, okay, like, because anybody can sing karaoke. Like, because people also want to know, what is your voice? What is your singing style? What is your key? I'm so grateful that I was in band, because I really do understand melodies and stacking them and harmony. Like, girl, no, I'm telling you. it has helped me because I used to make cheerleading music too. So I understood the basics of editing. So I could create demos that a lot of people do not expect when I take it into the studio. Because again, nobody is really going to hear a demo except you and the people in the studio. But I get so focused on my demos that I want to have the whole song figured out. I'm going to sit and work on that demo until I am sure of every line. And I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for me feeling comfortable in it. Because if I feel off even a little, I know something needs to change. And sure, a lot of people are like, no, it's fine. No, it's not fine to me. I want it to sound the best that it can. I'm not looking for it to sound perfect. I say yet again, right? But like when I hear something off in the music or something doesn't feel comfortable, it's like something in my body shifts. I don't know how to explain that. But I feel it in my soul and I can't get past it and I never forget it. So I'm able to go back into a demo, for example, and re record that the way that I would like it to sound until I get that take. And it's not one of those things where I'm like, okay, let me do it again, where it's obsessive. It's okay, let me see if I can tackle this a couple of times. If I can't tackle it today, I'll come back to it another time. And I'm really big on that too, because finding your sound is frustrating. Maybe this sound doesn't sound good. Maybe it doesn't sound good today, to be honest. Come back to it in about 2 weeks. Maybe it sounds different. That's why it's super complex. It's not just, oh, I know what I'm going to sing today. I'm going to get into the studio. I'm going to sing that, and that is what I'm going to sing. Well, no. I wish. Okay? Water. Mm. I don't care what y'all say. I can't believe we are in an era where people don't like water. But, you know, again, finding your sound. Funny thing, just like genres. I think with these two EPs, it's going to be a moment where I think that people have a better understanding of who I am in the music space. Because I don't feel like my music matches what I may be to people. And that was the interesting thing that we were talking about the other day. It was kind of like, again, it's still worrying about that perspective that people are going to have. It's like, who fucking cares? But also at the same time, bitch, I'm also thinking about it. So what? You think I'm just gonna wipe it from my memory? Let me like just get a quick paper towel, bitch, and just wipe that shit away. Well, hey, right? It's that simple. It's not. I do take it into account because after I do a demo, I will take it to maybe 3, 4, 5 people, play them at the same time, kind of like a focus group or whatever, and see the reactions to it. Because it may not always be about what they have to say about it. I'm watching for the natural reactions to certain moments. Did their head bop? Were they in tuned? Were they distracted? Several different things. And a lot of that may tell me if I sound comfortable in it, right? Because I really don't think that people's words can articulate how their body naturally reacts. And I feel like that says a lot, especially a facial expression. Because somebody can give you a very nasty face and be bobbing their head and they could like it. Or they couldn't. It really just depends. But 9 times out of 10, black people, if they got a stink face, that shit slap. It's true. It's real true. And eh, I feel like another thing too is there's really a lot of expectation for obviously black people to rap. And I've had a lot of people approach me even and be like, yo, what's your take on this? Rap a little bit, see what that about. No. But I'm not a rapper. Well, no. Hell no. I am not a rapper. But I do support rappers and I will collaborate with my fellow friends that do rap who are quite talented. There are a couple of them. One, if you don't know, Brandon Hubert, he's fire. Check him out on Instagram. So I've been wanting to send him one of my collabs for a while, but again, creating music is very interesting. And at first I had a song that I was going to, but it didn't make sense. And then I came across one much later on that did kind of make sense. And it was really about the timing. And that's a big thing with music, timing. Because something really like I wanted it to happen, but it didn't make sense. And then a better song came along that really fit the narrative. And I feel like it fits the narrative for both of us now. So that's why also another testament, take your fucking time. You really never know. But girl, that's the tea. That is the tea. And I'm telling y'all, this music shit is not for the weak. So if you want to make music and you're passionate about it, do it. You have to do it if you are passionate about it. You don't want to, you do not let it be a regret. Some of the most fulfilling things have been creating simply these demos, not even being in the studio. Which, by the way, being in a studio is fucking crazy. It really is. It's also intimidating as hell. Because what do you mean? And again, shit ain't cheap. It ain't free. Money don't grow on trees. Nonetheless, we're going to get these EPs done. The EPs will both be out next year. It's not a secret that I'm going to be dropping the first one on my birthday next year because it was something I was born to do. So, what better way to celebrate my birthday than, celebrating something that I was born to do? Hello. Hey, I am knocking something off of a major bucket list in my life. Okay. This is definitely probably number one. I mean, like, it was always to get an album out, but getting music out, generally speaking, is essentially the main root of it. So I'm very excited about it. We have a lot of things planned with the EPs, filming 2 videos and more visual content on the back end of this year. A song coming out this year, radio interviews locally this year, also probably into next year. A lot. There's a lot. Photo shoots and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of things because this music feels like an investment. The music came out better than I thought. The demos alone came out better than I thought. And recognizing how good the music actually is made me want to invest in it because I said before creating music, I didn't want to half-ass it. And I still don't. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to commit to it. But again, I'm not here to be somebody to go on Good Morning America and have a machine behind me to push my song go top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. Okay? No. But I would like to promote my work organically with the resources and platforms around me. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's going to be really fun. A single planned for this year, maybe a promo single this year, because I want to drop 2 songs, but one as of right now is probably the best that people are going to get, but we're working some things out with the two EPs and how we are kind of conjoining the eras. There's a lot going on with that. Because yeah, after you find your sound, after you start making music and recording it, you have to figure out what to do with it. Are you just going to put the music out and just leave it at that? Are you going to have live performances of this? Like, what do you want? Right? What do you want to do with the music? That's what comes after the question of what do you want to say. It honestly is a never-ending cycle, and it's a chase. It's really just like, when you are on a set constantly, you're constantly filming something, you're constantly working, like you're chasing it. You're chasing something. You're chasing the success. You're chasing whatever it is that you want to come from this work that you're doing. Look, I'm fine making a living off of what I enjoy doing. I don't yearn for celebrity status or famous shit. I just don't. Because the spotlight, the scrutiny, the pressure, right? So at the same time, you also do have to recognize that constantly doing stuff in this industry and in this space can also lead to well, it can lead to that shit. That's also the reality. So if it does, you do have to be prepared for that as well. There was a big question of, it was like, let's say X, Y, and Z happens because of X, Y, and Z. How are you going to be able to handle that? And it's also thinking about it because it brought up a bigger conversation of, oh my goodness, like I could not have been a child star. I could not have done the industry as a child. Thankfully, I did have all of that anxiety about going to those auditions and stuff. I remember specifically, there was a Nickelodeon audition that I was going to audition for a show on there, and I ended up not wanting to do it. On several occasions, I didn't want to do the audition because I really did have really bad social anxiety, and obviously, I wish that I had, but also as I've gotten older, I no longer wish that I had because I needed the journey that I took in order to be prepared for this space and an industry that is full of sharks that want to feed on you. I had to go through that journey to get the thick skin. That's just the tea. And so, I feel like everything in this podcast really just kind of leads back to that trial and error. I mean, that really is the route to finding, quote unquote, your sound. It's truly the root of it. And I just feel like I'm probably going to take that with me in anything that I do. I feel like I already do, but the music opens up probably the biggest fear, creative wise, that's been so focused on judgment. Like, music is the final boss for me, right? I've planted different seeds in different spaces in different areas, but this one, if I get this done and win, that's going to be probably like the number one aspiration. And I think that even as I'm doing these demos and slowly creating these songs and creating these EPs with the narratives, there's a bit more fulfillment every day. And it really began with choosing to really commit and really to take a risk on going after these opportunities and experiences that I had been too scared of before. And by doing that, I created community here. Trial and error. Well, talk about finding your sound, finding your rhythm. There are several different industries that I've tipped the scale in a little bit, to say the least. But this one, it's a different beast. It's totally a different beast. And I think that it's definitely one of the darkest. I mean, look at everything that you hear about music contracts. They really take advantage of those artists, which is why I feel like having an independent route is really definitely the way to go. I mean, obviously, if you really want your music to pop off, if you want the funding to be able to do the things that you want to do, like your music videos and stuff like that, like, no, maybe the label won't support you all the way through the way that you want and back you and be this machine to really drive your records into the top 10. But maybe they will actually be able to fund you going to the studio so you don't have to spend all of that money on your own. Maybe they will give you a little something, maybe like a little change or whatever to film that music video so you don't have to entirely pay for it on your own. So it's worth it to some people. To a lot of people, it's not. And if you're somebody who, like, you could be a Tinashe and still kind of have a machine behind you who can take care of all the logistics behind creating and releasing the music. But if you are somebody who just has no resources in regards to the music industry and then want to get your music out there, it really takes a lot of work on your own to get it done. Especially if music isn't the only thing you do. Because, girl, the music is not, hello, I'm on a set every other day. I'm going to an event every other weekend. Like, a bitch is booked and busy. That's why I'm in my rest era, girl. Hello. Like, if I don't rest now, when will I? Because the back end of the years, girl, they go crazy and they fly by. It's filled with so much stuff, work, events, especially. Like, eh, the iHeartRadio Awards, sporting events. I mean, filming movies, filming TV shows. I mean, audiences. Like, there's just so many things that happen on the back end of the year. And I do not want to be burnt out. So, in my rest era, also creating this music, it's a shift in dynamic that has been very refreshing. So, while I'm on the journey to finding my sound, I'm also resting. That's the best thing. Love that for me. That's really all I have today. I really wanted to chat about finding my sound and also really just talking about how finding your sound is so much more complex than people think it is. Because obviously it is. You don't just wake up one day and like, oh, I want to make R&B. I want to make pop music. Okay, now I'm going to make that for the rest of my life. Because that's what I sound like, because that's all I think people will actually, think sounds good on me. That narrative will keep you stuck. Don't let it happen. Make the music you want to make. Make the art you want to make. If this is your sign, so be it. Go after it. It's always possible. Literally always. You never know if you are literally that one in a million at the time. You could be. I'm sure there are several opportunities for you to be that one in a million. You just got to be willing to take that chance. I believe that anyway. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. I've been sipping on my water, and I hope you're sipping on your water too, because you need to stay hydrated. Okay? I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning into the That's So Deaf podcast, where you stay true and absolutely stay you. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Sowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else. I have 2 EPs on the way, and I cannot wait to share them with you. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next podcast. Peace.